Welcome to my video about the Tobiassen Memorial Forest in Tolland, Connecticut. It's located at the end of Noah Lane in Tolland, and the trail is about a mile and a half long, with a loop trail that actually continues on if you go beyond the loop trail, and it continues on to Weigold Road. This particular area used to be a farm owned by the Tobiassens, I believe, and then many years ago they entrusted it to the town of Tolland, and with the help of the Joshua's Trust we were able to acquire more land for this particular trail, and now it's open for the public's enjoyment, and it's a nice little trail to go on. Right now it's a little dry, so the water is probably going to be pretty low, but in the springtime it's really very watery, and there's a nice brook, and then in June, of course, you got the blooming the blooming mountain laurel. So, let's take a walk. The trail begins at the end of the cul-de-sac of Noah Lane and goes through some hilly terrain, some areas that have got stone walls, and there's, I believe, a brook that goes through it, as well as a loop trail. So this is some of the places that you will see along the Tobiassen Trail as you walk. These particular ferns are still green. They could be either Christmas fern or polypody fern. I'm not sure which it is, but you're not going to find too many green ferns around at this time of year, which is about mid-October. Now there is a major leaf. See if we can get a size with my hand. Wow, that is some big leaf. I don't know what it's part of, but it's one of the biggest leaves I've seen so far this fall. It's an interesting fungi. I'm not sure what it is, but I just happened to see it on this dead tree here. It looks like stalactites in a cave or something. Very odd looking. Well, I'm sure I'll find out once I get home and I look at my mushroom guide. Okay, here we're at where the trail divides. If you go up this way, you'll be on the Blue Loop Trail, which is just a short little trail that goes around some rocks and then it comes back. But also on the other side of the Blue Loop Trail is another trail that leads out to Weigold Road. That's just recently been put in, I don't know, probably in the last 6 or 7 years. But what I'm going to do is, I think I'm just going to go this way. I'm going to continue on the yellow trail and not bother with the Blue Loop Trail, because I've been up that way and it's a little tough if you're not used to walking, and I'm not exactly in the best of shape right now, so I'm not going to bother going on the Blue Loop Trail. Pretty wind. It's always nice to hear the wind through the trees. Beautiful blue sky today. We've had a lot of rain, so this is a real treat after all the rain and clouds that we've had for about a week. Okay, this is one of the brooks that is in the Tobiassen Forest. Like I said, this is mid-October, and it's pretty dry right now. Even though we've had some rain, it's still, the water is still pretty low. This is normally rushing in the springtime with like a little waterfall, and we have a little walkway that goes over it, which actually may have been built by the Boy Scouts. I'm not sure. The Boy Scouts have really built a lot of the various bridges and things that appear in the trails for their various badges and things. So this is one of the brooks. I'm sorry it's not running right now, but well, so be it. It's just the way it is. October dry, waiting for the winter, for the snow to fall, and the ground will freeze quick and all that good stuff. So this is the brook. Okay, this is a really good close-up of the beech leaf. They're actually one of the last leaves to drop in the fall, and they're very pretty. They turn a wonderful bright yellow. So when you're walking through the woods after all the leaves have dropped and you come across an area where there's a lot of yellow leaves, it's probably a bunch of beech trees. And as you can see, it's kind of an oval shape with a little point on the end. I don't know how you can resist not loving the light on the leaves with the sun shining on it in a certain way. It's all about the light. This area is very bright. It's a lighter wooded area. Maybe it's one of the ones that might have been a farm last or something, you know, that might have been farmland before it became forest. I mean, all the way that, with all the colors changing and the sun just dappling on the leaves, it's just delights the senses. It's just wonderful. More leaves. They'll probably be gone by next week. Doesn't really want to hold. Okay, here we have a dead tree in the woods. But it has so many interesting things growing on it. Almost look like horseshoes or something. Horse hooves. And gray. And as you can see, even though the tree is dead, it appears that lots of things have kind of adopted it. And we have all sorts of holes in it, which are probably little homes of chickadees or maybe little owls or chipmunks or something. So even when things die, they still have a purpose, and especially when it comes to nature and the woods. Nothing goes to waste, and that's the way that nature is. This is kind of a weird tree. It's bended backwards. I forgot what someone told me. I think they told me that sometimes this happens when storms come through and they blow it for a continuous period, like maybe when they're young or something, and they end up with this natural bow in them. It also has something to do with snow, but there's reasons why the trees grow this way. Maybe it got cracked, or maybe something happened to it that caused it to have to fix itself in some way, but it's quite the unusual tree, that's for sure. If it was a little bit lower, it would almost make a nice natural seat. Okay, here we're coming to one of those infamous stone walls that people always seem to come across in the middle of the woods, and they don't understand why they're there. It's got like a little walkway through it, which probably means that this was an area that was part of a farm, because the area is about the size of a vehicle that can get through. Because this is an old farm, I would imagine that this was one of the ways that they divided up their livestock, and which is one of the reasons why you see stone walls in the middle of the woods. Now we're coming to one of my favorite spots along the trail. It's actually a grove. I like to call it the grove because it has many pines in the area. Looks like a great place to come on a hot summer day and bring a picnic basket and just sit under the trees and enjoy the cool that they offer from the shade. Not sure what this is, if it's a hemlock. Looks more like a fir because it's got drooping branches. It's just a nice cool area, nice and green even in the winter time. Okay, here's something else that you might see every so often while you're walking. What looks like a vine. This actually is a wild grapevine. And in all honesty, I will admit that when I was a kid, I used to go wandering through my woods and come across these vines, and I'd take a swing across a ravine or something. They're kind of fun. I guess I always wanted to be Tarzan when I was growing up. And notice the pieces of the vine that are just kind of hanging off of it to form like a shaggy surface, which is quite common amongst grapevines. As you can see, a close-up look of the shaggy bark of the grapevine. Okay, here we have another interesting tree that I just came across. As you can see, it's got very shaggy bark. What this is, most likely, is a shagbark hickory. Shagbark hickories are nut-producing trees, and hickory nuts actually are edible. I've eaten them myself a few times. And there's also another type of shag tree that we might have occasionally in the area called a shagbark maple. This one happens to be a hickory though, because the leaves are more like a beech leaf. They're kind of elongated and oval. And guess what? We have another grapevine. Look at that. This one's a nice one. Ooh, I like this grapevine. This is a swinging grapevine. This is the kind you want to swing off of. I don't know if there's any nuts underneath it. I guess I should go over and look and see if there's anything buried under the leaves. Okay, that's the inside of the emptied nut right there. The flavor is kind of musty, I guess you can say. It's kind of musty. But I have used them and I've eaten them. I used to collect them occasionally when the years are good. I don't think this year is a very good year for nuts, but some years they're so plentiful that you can't even drive down the road without constantly getting them knocked on your roof of your car. When you hear those things hitting your car, you think it's a rock, but it's probably a hickory nut. Alright. This is also a trail used frequently for horseback riders. I seem to have a thing for horses. Okay, so we have two riders here. And they're riding their horses through the trail here. Cool. And there they go. What a nice way to spend an afternoon in the fall, riding horseback on a wooded trail. Well, we're not to the end of the trail yet, but I'm going to bid adieu. The sun is getting low in the sky. There's getting to be a bit of a chill in the air. And so this introduction to the Tobiassen Forest is for those who may not have ever come here. The way to get to the Tobiassen Forest is you will take the Tolland exit, and then you're going to go left off the exit if you're coming from Hartford. And when you get to the top of a hill, you're going to take another left onto Cider Mill. You're going to take that road until you get to the split. You want to bear right, that's Grant Hill Road, and you just keep on following it. Oh, I don't know, maybe a mile and a half. You're going to go up a big, big hill, and at the very top is a left, and that's Noah Lane, and you follow Noah Lane all the way to the end. And there's a semicircle there for you to park in. It's a nice trail, it's a nice walk, it's relatively easy. A few rocks in the trail, but nothing that most people can't handle. And it's just a nice way to spend another fall day in Tolland. Thank you for listening, and happy trails.